that exploded or was blowing in North Salt Lake. So take a look. This is a new video showing the earthquake knocking out the power to this transformer. This happening on Center Street, right there.
Oh, crap.
In North Salt Lake, just west of Redwood Road. So that was the moment the earthquake started to shake. Once again, let's wait for it and look at this. Pretty powerful. Oh, well, apparently.
Brett said that. What was that? Because he wouldn't have known. Maybe he didn't feel the earthquake.
All right.
Wow.
Well, as you saw there in the moment, we'll show you that again in just a little bit. Now, one family in Magna says friends all over the state felt this earthquake and be prepared only to get them so far.
I was in the bathroom doing what I do in the morning, getting my teeth brushed and stuff, and my whole house shook. So I banged on my daughter's door and said, "Earthquake, get up out of bed." I never felt anything like it before. It was scary. You think you're prepared for these kind of things, but I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. So, and I'm trying, I was hoping I could teach my kids what to do, but I don't even know what to do. So it was scary. And you have to keep calm. My kids are calmer than I am. They're having fun and laughing.
All right, just some
a lot of ambulances, a lot of people call my phone to see if I'm okay that live around here. People in Heber or Oakley felt an earthquake as well. My boss lives out there, and I called her and told her I'm not coming in today, and she felt it in Heber. People felt it in Kearns. My dad's whole house shook in Kearns, where he lives with my aunt, and stuff fell on his head, but he's okay. Could imagine if people felt it in Oakley, that everybody had to feel it.
All right, just the comments there from one woman telling us about the different people reaching out to her, telling her how they felt that earthquake as well. I want to take you to some other videos that have been coming into the KSL newsroom from around the Salt Lake Valley and even down into Utah County as people have felt the earthquake. They've seen the damage and have been reporting that damage to us. Hey, Kat, you guys, are we going to be able to get those videos? It looks like we're working on that. Okay, so here we want to show you some of these. This first video of a Walmart in West Valley City on 5600 West and 3100 South. Water, as you can see in there, and then we had toys and merchandise that were toppled over from shelves. A True Requiem shared this video on Twitter. He says his aunt was one of the people who is now going to be responsible for cleaning up this mess. So toys just tossed off the shelves there at that Walmart in West Valley City. Now to downtown Salt Lake City. This is video showing a major crack. As we get closer, can you see it? This is going up the Zions Bank Broadway building near 310 South and Main Street. Look at that crack just snaking its way up there. The building was evacuated. They have police tape up around it. A police officer there on scene telling our crews that they're worried that there could be some foundation issues now that they're going to have to investigate. And not far away from this is the current condition at Cafe Melisse on 400 South and West Temple. According to the owner, telling our crew on the ground, there is a crack. There's crack damage inside and outside the building. Some concerns there. Another downtown restaurant picking up damage as well. This is the Italian restaurant, Cucina Toscana, on the corner of 300 South and 300 West. It looks like some major pieces of the awning had come down there. You can see the metal pieces there, tape up around that area as well. Now, I also want to show you this, guys, before I send it back to you. Look at this crack. This is in Utah County. We had a Twitter user sharing this with us, sharing photos in front of his apartment complex in Lehigh. So I reached out to him and I said, are you sure that these cracks were not there before this earthquake this morning at 7:09? And he says, I am here every day. He looks out on that road, and those were not there prior to this earthquake. So again, just some of the video and the images coming in showing some of the damage around the valley all the way down there into Utah County, a big crack in the road. So I tagged Lehigh City on it and said, hey, you might want to go up to this road and check it out.
Well, because they would probably say, hey, listen, we're pretty good about cracks. We like to go in and fill them in and take care of those roads.
Well,
so
and really to see, okay, if this was powerful enough here to put this kind of a crack in the road, we should probably assess some of the buildings in that area as well. So.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why we saw UDOT all around the valley checking bridges and overpasses as well because of this very issue. And they have reported since so far they haven't found any major structural issues with bridges and overpasses. So that's certainly good news. We have a lot of new constructions and to be thankful for that. Okay, let's go to Mike Hedrick, who is live for us in Magna. And he was walking through some of the businesses that have been impacted by this, of course, impacted by the coronavirus and now the earthquake. Mike, tell us where you are and what you're seeing near Main Street in Magna.
Okay, so you guys saw a little bit earlier. I'm a little bit further west now on Main Street from where I was. If you're looking down the line, you can see all these emergency crews that are there. See all of this tape. This whole street has been taped off here, as a lot of these buildings have sustained some amount of damage. Some have seen more than others. You're looking at this shop right here, just a couple away from me. You can see all that brick that is on the ground. That's the facade from this building. Actually, the owners of that building are right over here. Can I call you guys over here, Michelle, Klaus? Why don't you guys come over real quickly here? I just want to talk to you a little bit about this, because you got a motorcycle shop. You just got this building not too long ago.
About a month ago now.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're making it into a motorcycle kind of a repair shop?
Repair, parts, restorations, you know.
Have you had a chance to go inside and look?
Yes, I've already been through the building, and me and one of the other guys that's with us, we were on the top floor looking out the gaping hole that's on the side and looking, just kind of waving at everybody, and then the aftershock come, and me and him just almost didn't kill each other trying to get out of the building.
What'd that feel like, the aftershock?
It was kind of weird, especially when you're looking and you know you're up high and everything started going. It's like, this isn't a safe place right now.
And you guys live in Magna?
Yes, we do live in Magna. We do live out here.
We're about 4 blocks from here.
Okay, so the first one, what was that feel for you?
I was at work at the airport when that happened.
Okay, so
that was pretty scary there. So
yeah, you're in 2 spots then that felt it pretty heavily.
Right, and then out on the ramp for that first big aftershock, and that was like all the planes are moving on their suspensions and rocking back and forth. We had the A300 Airbus out there, and that's rocking back and forth, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, what's going through your head when you see something like that at the airport?
I wonder what I did to piss off Mother Nature.
I'm sure it wasn't you. Don't put this on you, okay? So what do you do at the airport?
I work for UPS.
Okay.
We're package handlers out there, load up the small feeder airplanes, the smaller towns.
Okay.
You know.
So what do? You look at something like this, you're just starting a business right here. Where do you go at this point?
Oh, we're still going to do it. You know, I mean, there's no reason not to. It's just repair work, and then make a delay for everything. But other than that, we're moving ahead, of course.
Yeah, luckily the place is insured, so once they come down here and look at the building and make sure it's structurally sound, too, so we can kind of like continue what we're doing. But otherwise, right now as it stands, there ain't nothing we can do with it today.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what you're waiting on right now? Are you waiting for structural engineers?
For structural engineer, yeah, so I can contact a couple other people and let them know what's going on with it, and so kind of at a standstill.
Yeah.
So
well, good to see you still have smiles on your face.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And again, it wasn't your fault. Klaus, you did not do this. I want you to know that.
All right. Waiting for the apocalypse or whatever's coming next.
Well, I know a lot of people are feeling like that right now with everything that's been happening in the last few weeks. So thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
All right, thank you very much.
So, again, guys, as we... okay, we're going to come down here? Okay, I want to show you a few things. So, as they talked about, they're waiting on structural engineers at this point to come down through on Main Street. We saw a couple of businesses, talked to some business owners there, and a lot of them can't even get in. The fact that they got inside their building is amazing, because most people can't get inside their buildings right now because these engineers haven't been able to make sure that it's safe for anyone to go inside. It's interesting, a note, we were able to talk. Oh, okay. Let me show you something here. Thank you. My producer, Kara, showed me something that I wasn't able to see as we look on the back side of some of these buildings. So a lot of this stuff, we see the facades in the front with all that brick. Well, here's the back, and you're seeing some of the damage as well. So it looks like we got what? Aluminum siding there that has been ripped off, torn off, and then you got all of these bricks. Is this your shop?
Yeah, this is the side of our building. In fact, this building is zoned for commercial and residential, so that was actually going to be 2 apartments at first, and we were going to make one big apartment. And this is the hole that me and another guy were hanging out up earlier after this all happened, and we were just kind of hanging out of the wall. And then that's when the aftershock hit, and then we both took off because we were waving at everyone down here, the officers and my dad. And
So you're telling me you were standing up where we see those beams up there. You were standing up there.
Inside of there, yeah.
Okay, and then you felt the aftershock.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so actually the front stairway, we actually pulled the railing out and have it blocked off so no one's using that. So it was a mad dash to the back set of stairs and the back door to get out of the building.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, with that building shaking, I mean, you're laughing now, but when that was shaking, I'm sure there wasn't a smile on
Oh,
your face.
no, not at all. It was like a weird experience, but I'm sure everyone else in the valley is feeling the same thing, but being up in a structure like this, you're looking out your own wall, and it starts going, so...
You can just hear it, too, with the wind blowing, and it's got to be pretty unsettling.
Oh, yeah, and it is, and even walking around, because there is a basement down here, too. Neither one of us would walk down in the basement, so we just made sure everything up top was fine. But even being over in the house out here, you'll hear the creak, and all of a sudden you'll feel the jolt, and just you know, nothing you can do.
Well, hey, considering your experience, I'm just glad you guys are okay. The fact you were up there during the aftershock, I know that wasn't the main one, but the aftershock, we all felt that as well, and that was significant. So,
oh yeah,
the fact
we've had some pretty good jolts here in the last little bit too. So,
well, the fact you're safe, I'm happy to see it, and you got a smile on your face.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, best of luck to you guys. Thank you so much for talking to us and sharing your story, and good luck to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You bet. So, again, as we talked to many business owners, this is a situation they're all dealing with here in Magna. And it's interesting because, you know, a lot of these shops on Main Street here, these are old buildings. I've talked about before. A lot of these built like in the early 1900s. So the facades that you see on this building, well, you're not seeing it right now, but the facade that had so much brick there, you know, it's not reinforced brick. And so as a result of that, it's easier for it to come down, especially when you have a quake like we did. It was funny, I was talking to the mayor's not in town. In fact, the mayor's out of town. So I talked to one of the city council members. And as they have crews that are coming in right now, one of the things they're going to be doing here in just moments is signing a disaster declaration. So hopefully that will maybe open up them to some more money here where they can repair some of this and have the money to do so. I was also told by that council member that some of these businesses, it's interesting, some of these businesses, they don't even really exist. And what I mean by that is there's a show, Andy Mack by Disney. Apparently they tape on Main Street here, so they put up these fake facades. And anyway, so some of them don't even think there's a pet store here. That they don't even think that pet store is an actual pet store. It was basically here for a movie. So anyway, that's neither here nor there, but it gives you a little context here just to understand that, okay, even though we see all these businesses here, it's not every single one of them is a business, okay? Most of them are, just not every single one of them as they tape for this show. So anyway, that's mainly what we got right here for you guys. Is I'm on the backside. We've been driving around Magna all over the place, so it's affecting a lot of people as we've seen. But again, some of the most visible damage is what we're seeing right here on Main Street. Back to you.
That is information we could not get if Mike was not there. Mike, thank you so much. A little did we know it was a set for television show in a lot of those buildings. They aren't occupied necessarily to what they look like. But on the back side there, I mean, a lot of folks doing kind of an assessment of their own homes and thinking, okay, it looks like I'm okay, maybe a little crack here or there. Some places in Magna near the epicenter dealing with a whole lot more.
And if they do declare an emergency declaration, that really does free up money. That's what that means.
Point,
it's a legal document and it frees up money. So a lot of these people can have access to, and the government can have access to clean up the aftermath of this earthquake.
All right, let's continue on here. Cher, I know we were just talking about this. Some information about that plume that they were mentioning early on today. We've got a tweet that kind of addresses that, right?
I think we do need to address this right now. We're getting a tweet from the Utah National Guard. I want to share this with you. It says our 85th Civilian Support Team has just been deployed at the request of the governor to Kennecott due to the chemical leak caused from this morning's earthquake. The immediate response unit will assist with air monitoring. So we're working to reach out to Kennecott and see if they can clarify what's been happening out there. We're working on getting Chopper 5 over that area as well to show you what's happening. But it looks like they are mobilizing some units to head that direction.
They had mentioned a visible plume earlier. I don't think we've gotten any shot of that from our Chopper 5 yet or any pictures, but they said it was moving over toward unpopulated areas, and so they were going to monitor this, and it could be some sort of a small container. Again, I'm not doing it justice, but some sort of a container that ends up getting rid of whatever it is that it's tossing up into the air quickly. So, again, it's still something that at least the National Guard is addressing as well. You know, we've been talking about, of course, the earthquake that hit at 7:09 this morning, the aftershocks of that. We just heard from people in Magna. We're going to go back to Dan Rascone, who has been talking about talking with, I should say, some of the homeowners who have seen some damage inside their homes and the impact that is having on their life.
He'll say it in Spanish.
Hey guys, sorry about that. I can't hear very well because of the situation that we're under. We're having to use our phone for a live device, but this is one of many mobile homes out here. We're about 7,200 west and 2,100 south or so. This Western Estates Mobile Home Park. Just a very unfortunate situation for folks out here. You could see this mobile home in particular pretty much destroyed in the sense of it's been knocked off of its kind of foundation there, and then inside apparently all the stuff had fallen. Let me walk over here real quick because they're out and about setting these up. We've been seeing crews out here, gas crews and also emergency crews. This one now being posted out here. So this family not able to get inside of this particular mobile home here because of the situation. So many of these mobile homes all along the street here are being told that they can't go back inside. This is one of the family members that was inside. I know that you said you don't speak English really well, but just share with us the best you can. What was it like this morning when you were inside?
I would just sleep, and then when I felt all the bad things that were happening, I just went to get the kids. Yeah, I saw him on the floor just crying. We didn't know what was happening.
So the kids were crying. It was very scary.
Yeah.
And was everything falling, or what happened there?
Yeah, all the things, the plates all was broken on the floor.
Okay. And what did you do, or how did you react?
Just run to get the kids and get outside, but the door was locked, so the guy in the front, he kicked the door to open it, and we get outside.
What's your reaction of the destruction on your home here now? What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And you can't go back inside.
I feel bad.
Really sad situation then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, thank you very much, and I'm glad you're okay. All these kids were inside then at the time?
Yes.
Okay, and they're all okay then?
Yeah, they're good.
All right, thank you very much. Let me go down here a little bit. You could kind of, as we take a walk along, again, we're at the Western Estates Mobile Home Park. You can see that they're basically putting up these orange signs here, or these pink signs, I should say, along these mobile home parks. And this is another one right here that was completely destroyed, kind of knocked off. And it's just unfortunate the kind of situation that these folks are in. One place after another. We've been inside many of these places. We've seen the destruction inside. You had mentioned a single mother of 3 kids, just basically living on what they could, kind of resupplying their items, and everything destroyed inside. We saw all the destruction inside of her kitchen area, all the food on the floor and the ground and that kind of thing. But let's walk down this way a little bit more. But you could see that one there has got one of those pink slips. This one over here has got another pink slip here. So as we just kind of go down, you can just see that they're just one right after another that is destroyed. This one over here on this side, this is one of the ones that we did go inside of the home there and got a chance to be able to see inside. You can see cracks inside the walls and all the different things that are happening with very terrifying, a scary experience. So take a look at this porch here. This gives you a little idea of kind of what they woke up to, but just again, the mobile home just kind of knocked over, just kind of off of its base there, and then this one completely on its side. When we went inside there a little bit earlier today, we could see the cracks. We could see a lot of things thrown on the ground. So just a very unfortunate, scary situation for a lot of folks out here. But we have not had an estimate as far as how many mobile homes we're talking about. But as we just kind of walk down this street here, you can see just one after the other that are all being told they cannot get back into their homes because they are completely unsafe at this time. So we'll continue to talk to people. We'll continue to be able to gather information out here, but just a very unfortunate situation for a lot of people. Back to you guys in the studio.
I want to pass.
Those families.
I mean, it is. They have nowhere to go. I want to pass along a recommendation here and kind of a clarification from Utah Emergency Management, where they tweeted out that there was a shelter-in-place recommendation put out by Salt Lake County Emergency Management this morning, and what that was in an effort to keep people off the phones. And they're also saying they would like for people to avoid driving around. When we say shelter-in-place, when it's a breaking news scenario, as you know, we often talk about active shooter situations, emergency situations. What this is they said it's just a recommendation to do the right thing for those emergency responders. They mentioned there are some gas leaks. First responders are responding to those. They want to make sure they have the roads as clear as possible. We understand there are things to do in your daily lives today, but a lot of people hunkering down due to the pandemic. So they say as much as you can for those emergency responders who are still out there across Salt Lake Valley and beyond. Shelter in place in this case means we recommend you stay home.
Take that recommendation to heart, certainly. Okay, let's get to
the fish store Rusty Reefs. You can see.
Listen.
Yeah, because you can hear the shaking of the fish tanks. I didn't realize that as I was talking about this, the fish tanks. Another important note, there are rumors again circulating that the refineries in North Salt Lake are out of power. Those rumors are not true. The refineries are okay. There is no danger being reported there. And some more dramatic video to show you, a transformer. The one we've shown you earlier, we want to show that to you again because it caught us all when we saw this. Take a look. The video showing the earthquake knocking out power to a transformer.
Oh, crap.
Wow, right? This happening on Center Street in North Salt Lake, just west of Redwood Road, as this, as Brett here, the man who sent this in, was driving down the road. And as you're driving, you can imagine, guys, that would be pretty scary to have something like that, especially if you're not really feeling it in your vehicle as you're driving.
Right, you might not know immediately what's going on. Wow,
you know,
okay.
If I'm just sitting here going through some of the notes that I've made this morning, I just want to reiterate to people, if you have just joined us, there have been no fatalities, no injuries from this that we are aware of. So that is certainly the silver lining in all of this, where we can show you videos like the Dream and the R&E falling down, because at least the people's lives we're so far okay.
We call it a coincidence or a blessing. Schools are not in session. You've got people in the emergency personnel, those ready to respond at a moment's notice due to the fact that we're dealing with this pandemic. So a lot of people in the right places at the right times today, so thank goodness.
Yeah, the thing that's really been hard to watch are the families who've been hit by this, particularly their homes. Dan Rescone has told us about some homes in Magna where people now cannot go back in because of the damage those homes have sustained.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, hello. Sorry about that. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but if you can hear me okay, we're at another mobile home here. This is Hayden over in this area. His home, again, completely destroyed. Show us a little bit about the porch area here. This is what they're faced with. You can kind of see it rocking back and forth there. That gives you a little idea just the strength of this and the magnitude of this earthquake. So you got to kind of be careful as you walk in. So Megan, as you go inside here, be careful with that step there. But again, if I put my foot right on this step here, you can kind of just see how scary that is. And as you walk inside, Hayden's mother actually is on oxygen here. You're okay right now then, I guess?
Yeah,
and the power was turned off for a little while. Unfortunately, so you have the big tank here. You're okay now, and you're kind of being taken care of. But it was a little scary there for a little while.
It scared me so bad. I moved back up here to Texas, and tornadoes don't scare me, but earthquakes are a different story.
Okay, so she's saying that it was very scary here. You can see some of the china here that is falling over. Fortunately, none of it broke there. But if we go back with Hayden, apparently the window was shattered over here.
Shattered the glass on my brand new.
It shattered the glass on your glass table here, and then shattered this window over here.
You can see the glasses in the trash.
Okay, and then as we kind of go back, these trailers are on beams, and one of the beams kind of just came shooting up through but the bathroom is just awful here.
It's just totally destroyed.
Completely destroyed. You could see the light fixture all the way down there. The toilet is completely taken off of
The sewer line.
the sewer line there, and then there's a beam. Kind of show us
Beam right here, if you see.
through
It's coming through the floor.
the floor there. Okay.
And I have walls in my room that are
Yeah.
kind of destroyed from shaking.
From shaking there. Hayden, real quick, let me just ask you where you were. Obviously, we're live on television right now, so you got to keep your language kind of clean because I know that you were thinking a few things there.
Yeah.
But you share us with what were you feeling, what were you experiencing when it started to shake this morning?
I was in my bedroom and I was holding onto the bar of my bed and I was shaking and I was scared. And my buddy hangs on to me after he felt it when he woke up, and he was screaming, and it kind of freaked me out because I never heard him scream like that. So I was in my room and I go out the door of my room, and it wasn't really.
Kind of look this way a little bit because we got to be able to hear you.
It wasn't like too bad until we got out of the room, and then we seen everything scattered all over the floor.
Pretty scary?
Was destroyed, yeah. It's pretty scary.
What were you feeling? What were you experiencing?
I was experiencing like probably life death experience.
Really?
And, I thought I was gonna die. I was like, oh.
Wow. Let's walk over back to your room there and kind of see a little bit. You can show us just kind of the destruction there that's happening from your room. If we go back in there, sorry about that. Don't mean to interrupt here, but I guess apparently there's a wall there that kind of came apart.
And then these little trimming strips, kind of. And then a shelf. We barely missed this shelf right here. There was an owl on top of it, a porcelain owl, and we barely moved out of the way before it hit us.
So this is where you were at.
Yeah.
When it just started to really shake.
And I heard everything out there. And the shelf fell, and we almost got hit by the shelf that was hanging up there.
And what do we have right here? This is another one of the beams, I guess, kind of coming up through the ground.
To the floor, yeah.
Okay.
You can see the insulation. It's kind of messed up, too.
Okay. And if you don't mind, what's your mother's name? What's your name,
I'm
ma'am?
Shauna.
Shauna?
I'm sorry I was stuttering.
Oh, no, you're okay. Shauna, you were here this morning, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was in bed.
And I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
It must have been very scary.
It really was. It really was. I think I was screaming too, and my husband was just holding me tight.
Really?
It was horrible.
So what did you feel? What did you experience? I mean, what do you remember?
I didn't know what was happening. I just heard this loud noise, and we were shaking, and I thought our bed was falling apart is what I thought. And it was so scary. Because
it lasted a good amount of time.
Yes, I'm thinking 45 minutes at least to a minute.
Really?
Yeah. It just kept going and going and going, and I was screaming, and my husband was holding me tight.
What were your dogs doing?
Burrowing into the bed. Even the big one got in bed with us.
Really?
They were so scared.
Tell me about your health situation. Here we are with the coronavirus scare and everything else, and here you are on oxygen.
I have an interstitial lung disease, and I used cleaning products like a week ago,
right?
A little over a week ago, and it got down into my lungs and put me back in the hospital. I've been in ICU 15 times in 4 years.
Wow. And
with my lungs, and they don't know what's wrong with them.
So when the power went out, what did you go through?
I panicked. I couldn't breathe. My husband hurried and got me on the tank.
Really?
I mean, I've only been home from the hospital for 2 days.
Wow.
So it was pretty scary.
And you've only been home for 2 days, and here you are with the coronavirus scare and everything else, and then this.
Yes.
How long have you lived here in Utah?
I grew up here, moved to Texas, lived there 23 years, and I've been back 7 years, 8 years.
Okay, and never experienced anything like this before? Okay.
Never. Well, in San Diego when my ex-husband was in the Marine Corps, a smaller earthquake, but nothing like this.
What's your last name, ma'am?
Mangum.
Mangum. And we're here in the Mangum home, and again, just a very unfortunate situation, a lot of destruction within this home here. This is one of dozens of them at this mobile home park, about 7200 west and about 2100 south. Very scary, intense situation for these folks. You can only they were going through as our home felt like it was just kind of coming down. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Dan, thank you so much. Again, devastating for those folks. The floors, the walls, I mean, there is a lot of damage out there, depending on where you are. You might not have it in your home, but folks in the Salt Lake Valley certainly dealing with a whole lot of damage.
Yes, I mean, it's incredible to see. Are we going to Alex Cabrero, who's standing by live for us? Mike Anderson.
Today's quake added only insult to injury for small businesses who've already been hard hit by COVID-19.
News specialist Andrew Adams spoke to one business owner downtown when the shaking hadn't quite stopped yet. Andrew?
Well, it has been a wild day at this antique store. The big one came through early this morning, knocked a bunch of stuff over, damaged it. But when we came here, this happened. Yeah, that was only an aftershock. Magnitude 4.6. Captured that with my own phone. The owner of Euro Treasures Antiques said the earthquake this morning felt about 3 times stronger and lasted much longer. And when he started looking through all of his antiques, some of which date back centuries, there's a lot of broken stuff. Preliminarily, he's estimating damage between $150,000 and $200,000. That hurts, he says, especially with the times we're in right now.
If this were just today's event, we'd have this mopped up in a week and we'd be fine, and we'll lose a little money and that's okay. But on top of this corona business, nobody has the answers to that. And where are we at? Is it the end of days? No, but for a small business like us, it's getting close.
Scott Evans says local businesses are really going to need support from the community that much more after what happened today. He says earthquake insurance for a business like his is unheard of and unaffordable. Evans says he's sitting it out a bit before he picks up the pieces and before he starts to account for what took place here, how much damage there is beyond his initial estimates. Today, it's just been too rough a day to move forward for now. Back to you.
Andrew Adams live for us in Salt Lake City. Thank you, Andrew.
It's just you think you're prepared for these kind of things and you hear these kind of things, but when it happens, you kind of forget everything.
Yeah, those first moments when the quake hit, many people feeling unprepared. It was so unexpected, the quake terrifying people across Utah and across the Wasatch Front. I want you to check out this video from, these are some viewers in West Jordan. Take a look. Yeah, that's the moment that the earthquake hit. Many of us reliving that moment every time.
Service? Mwah! Bellissimo!
With stylish glasses and same-day service, Eyeglass World is the world's best way to buy glasses. Come get 2 pairs for $78.
This is breaking news from KSL.
2 big stories, and Utahns are on high alert. A series of earthquakes today. Our team covered straight ahead on that. But first, an update on the coronavirus outbreak. Today, the health department updated total cases in the state. 63 people now have the virus. We have at least 13 more days until the end of limits on mass gatherings. And in day 3 of mass school closures across the state, Utah State, Utah Valley, and the University of Utah are among a handful of schools announcing they're going to postpone graduations.
With that, we continue our breaking coverage of today's news that woke us all up this morning, at least most of us, with a 5.7 earthquake. Our team of news specialists, as you can see, there's a lot of them. They've been covering almost every corner of the Salt Lake Valley as we continue to assess the damage and deal with the aftershocks.
Mike Hedrick is anchoring our field coverage live in Magna, the epicenter of the quake. Mike?
Yeah, David Dini, you mentioned a 5.7 quake. This was the biggest seismic activity we have had in the state of Utah since 1992. And it happened right near the point where I'm standing. This is the epicenter in Magna, and this is where it happened at 7:09 this morning. Most of the Wasatch Front feeling this. In fact, I felt it 3 different times. The first one and then several aftershocks after that. It shook the world of a lot of people, especially here on Main Street in downtown Magna. A number of these businesses along this area here. The facades have fallen. Some of these buildings are more than 100 years old. So as far as stability is concerned, some of them could have issues when you have a quake of this magnitude. And we saw that today from a lot of the damage. You see some of this. We talked to a guy, his motorcycle shop that he just got into, and they just kind of started to refurbish it. That one had problems to the facade and to the side of the building. But one of the people that was hit really hard happened to be the owner of a pizza shop here in town. It is his life.
Bad enough that we had to close because of the virus, and now we're probably closed because we don't have a building.
And you heard that right there, kind of a 1-2 punch for him, and I think for a lot of people here, dealing with the coronavirus and all the things that have happened as a result of that, and how lives have changed, world has changed because of that. You put this on top of it, and for him, the fear is that it's going to put him under. And so very real-life problems here that has changed his world as well as many of others who own businesses and who live in this area. One of the things we've been talking about a lot is the damage, of course, and what this done. The good news is no major injuries or serious injuries and no deaths. But to look at some of that damage, we sent Lad Egan up in Chopper 5. He's been around the Salt Lake County area throughout much of the day here. Lad, what kind of things have you seen? Okay, so apparently we're having some problems with Lad. I know some of the things that I've seen, not just on social media, but some of our pictures here from Chopper 5 has been in downtown Salt Lake Center, or Salt Lake City rather, in Temple Square. Some of the things you've seen, the temple, is it's actually being refitted to deal with situations like this with major earthquakes. Angel Moroni on the very top, apparently the trumpet had fallen down, and I think there was a little bit of damage to some of the spires if I saw as well. So those are some of the things in downtown Salt Lake that we saw. And there are some other things that were on the ground as well. But if we can get back to Lad in a little bit, we will, and see some of those aerial views. Also, not just businesses, not just things in downtown Salt Lake, but there are a number of homes around this whole area that were just shaken so hard. You've got some mobile home parks that are in this area, and Dan Rascone has talked to a number of people who live in some of these homes. And the way those foundations are, they're a little bit different than homes that may have a basement. A lot of these homes are on slabs, and when they're on these slabs, you can see how easily an earthquake of this magnitude could shake some of these things, and some of them, from what we understand and talking to Dan, have been shaken off of that foundation. Again, Dan has been covering this and talking to a number of people throughout the day, some of these people who have been seriously affected with things in their lives. Let's go to Dan right now. And Dan, you talked to a number of homeowners. What have you seen, not just on the outside, but inside these homes as well?
Yeah, very sad sight of destruction out here at this mobile home park. We're about 7200 west and 2100 south or so. This gives you a little idea on the outside here. Look at some of the foundation here. As you said, they're on those slabs there, but it completely knocked off of those slabs. This is where one of the water lines busted. They're working on to try and get that fixed, get water back into this place here. But many signs all across are up right here. Unsafe, do not enter or occupy. We were actually inside this home here earlier today interviewing a woman when suddenly a major aftershock hit.
A beam came up from underneath into the floor. Okay.
Are you rolling? Are you rolling yet?
We're okay. We're okay, guys. I'm okay. I'm okay.
You okay?
Yeah. We're okay, guys.
To say it was pretty scary considering we were already in a home that was unstable. The quake hit this mobile home park hard. It destroyed or damaged about 48 homes, leaving all those families homeless. Things were falling off the shelf, and it was very scary. One woman we spoke with was Liliana, who is a single mother of 3 kids. She said she had just restocked her shelves and everything was destroyed. Here's what she had to say about what she experienced as she came walking into her home and saw this.
It's hard. It's really hard. I work 2 jobs to be able to provide for my kids. And then when I have a little extra money, I try to buy food for them so that they can have here.
That gives you a little bit of an idea of the emotional toll that's been taken on the residents out here. But there is help. The Red Cross has been out there, out and about, making it very clear as to where people can go. What it's basically telling folks, again, the location for the evacuation center is Taylorsville High School. So this is where they're sending many of the families there. We talked to some Red Cross folks. They say that people apparently are showing up to those locations. But again, about 48 mobile homes damaged or destroyed in this area, leaving all the families in those homes pretty much homeless. You saw some of the destruction. You heard some of the emotional toll. Just a very difficult time for a lot of folks out here. Mike, back to you.
Yeah, it just breaks your heart when you hear them and see how it's affected their lives. Dan, thank you. And, you know, you spoke about some of those aftershocks, Dan. We spoke to one of the business owners here that after the initial quake came running to their business here on Main Street, went up to the second floor just kind of to assess some of the damage. And that's when one of those aftershocks hit. And she says her and her partner hightailed it out of Dodge and got out of there as quickly as possible. Not just affecting businesses and homes, affecting people who could have been in school today. If we go down to the southern part of the county in Harriman, that's where one elementary school there received some damage. We've got Alex Cabrero covering that part of the story for us today. And Alex, what a blessing in disguise that these kids were out of school today.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Mike. This could have been really scary if somebody happened to be walking underneath this sign over here. This is Silvercrest Elementary School in Harriman. All the pieces have been removed from this morning's earthquake, the bricks that fell down, but caution tape is still across the front. Now, when this building started shaking, a few large bricks fell from an overhang and shattered on impact. The school's principal told me the actual inside of the building is just fine and doesn't believe there are any concerns with structural integrity. Crews ripped down the rest of that overhang facade just to be on the safe side. Many parents with children who go to the school came here after it all happened because they wanted to see the damage for themselves.
It's crazy. I can't believe the damage that was done here. I'm glad they weren't all heading into school this morning.
Work crews also took a good look at Blackridge Elementary, which is also in Harriman, since that school has the same design as Silvercrest, but no bricks fell out there. Even still, lunch that was planned here at Silvercrest Elementary School in all Jordan schools, because classes were out because of the coronavirus, those lunches were canceled today. The principal also says that yesterday there were a lot of students here getting Chromebooks to prepare for those online classes as normal inside classes are out. But again, Mike, what everybody out here in Harriman is saying is that it's just a good thing that there were no classes today when this earthquake hit. Back to you.
Yeah, you look at the negatives of the coronavirus, and that seemed to be one of them. Kids not in school having to learn from home. But again, we see kind of a blessing in disguise here. Again, when you talk about the effects of the coronavirus, it had something to do with, you know, as far as flights and things like that, it slowed down a number of flights. People not really wanting to fly and been asked not to fly as much. Well, today put a halt to some flights in Salt Lake City because of the earthquake. Shut things down for quite a while. I think things are back up and running, at least to a degree right now. Matt Rascone with that part of the story for us tonight. Matt, what are you seeing right now?
Well, we're definitely seeing more cars coming into the airport here. Earlier, it was just those who were here to pick up a passenger. From the time that quake hit until earlier this afternoon, this place was just shut down. No flights in, no flights out. That FAA tower, traffic control tower, the terminals, concourses, they were all evacuated earlier today. Flights diverted and a water line broke in Concourse D. Passengers described the scene as pandemonium and chaos as several of them tried to take cover. Airport authorities spent the next several hours checking all the buildings. They say the damage here was cosmetic, other than that water break. Part of the damage also came from the new airport under construction right next door. We spoke to one of the crew members who was inside that building when the earthquake hit.
We're down there cleaning water, and the thing starts shaking, and things are falling down, metal, you know, like craziness. Everyone's just like, freaking out, and I get down on my knees and I cover my head.
I think the biggest lesson is it's time for us to build a new airport, and we're doing that.
One of the unexpected outcomes, Mike, you kind of mentioned it earlier, was the impact of the coronavirus. On a typical day, you'll see 20,000 passengers show up, 30,000 connecting here at the airport. Today, there were only 9,000 passengers inside this building, which of course helped with the evacuation efforts here. And now, of course, we're seeing things back up and running, flights back in the air. But the airport officials are just urging people to check with the airlines, because there were, of course, some cancellations and plenty of flights that were delayed. Mike.
Yeah, good information. Glad things weren't worse out there as well. Matt Rescone live tonight. Matt, thank you. Also, big deal today, an acid spill at a refinery at Kennecott. Shut down some of the operations there for quite some time. In fact, it may still be shut down at this point. Mike Anderson covering that aspect of this earthquake for us today. Mike, what can you tell us right now?
Yeah, Mike, likely still shut down. You know, the trouble here is the area is safe, but every time you get an aftershock, the teams have to go in and sort of reevaluate, make sure that the leak has not started up again. And, you know, fire